what's up, everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barracks here, the digital storyteller. I'm super excited to be with you for another creative to creative conversation where I talk to my creative friends within the creative entrepreneurial community. And I'm so excited about today's conversation. First of all, if you missed this morning's conversation with Jam and with finding, the topic was about finding your authentic voice. You missed a lot. I'm just telling you. Jam went in. Her energy, her fire, her vibe, her drive was just infectious. So definitely go check out the restream on that. And if you are restreaming it, just type in hashtag replay, hashtag where you're from, hashtag whatever questions you have, because it's going to be dope. I'm sure it's going to be impactful for you. But let's talk about today's conversation, or right now, the conversation that we're going to get into with my next guest. We're going to be talking about, well, even before I tell you about that, I want to tell you a little bit about my guest. My guest is my homegirl, my sister. I appreciate her. Her name is Aitina Fareed-Cooke, and she is a multidisciplined artist. Now, my apologies if the stream wasn't coming to the right link and things of that nature. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but it's okay. We're working it out. I want to tell you a little bit about Aitina. She is just one of those people that's just gifted in everything, all right? I like to say that she does a lot, but in a good way. She does a lot for a lot of people. She's inspiring, she's intellectual. She's what you would call the definition of being an artist. And I'm so excited to introduce you to her and her to you. So jump on in. And how you doing, Aitina?
I'm good. I'm excited to be here, man.
Listen, before we even get started, I need to put in the foghorn. You got to get some of that there. And then not only that, I want to say thank you so much. You and Josh, your husband Josh, have been amazing blessing to me. I appreciate you guys. You guys are super creative, super passionate about what you do. For a long time, from the moment I met you, you've always been that person that's just, you look at and you just get inspiration from, motivation from, you get challenged by, and at the same time, it's like iron sharpening iron. So I just want to say, you guys are dope. I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you, man. Definitely really excited about all the things that you're doing. You're very consistent in what you put out. You absolutely care about the creative community and sharing what the creative community has to say. Like, I really, really love that about you. And I'm ecstatic that I can call you friend, right? Like, I got creative friends.
Listen, you're not even just my friend. Like, I call you sis. Like, when I see you, it's like, hey, what's up, sis? Like, that's what it is. It's just family. And you live in one of the greatest cities in the world, Buffalo.
That's right. Buffalo.
Hey,
That's right.
Well, listen, let's jump right into it. For those of you that are watching, I do want to let you know that we are answering questions all throughout the session. We are talking about how to take your creativity and turn it into curriculum, how to take your creative ideas and thoughts and flows. And, sometimes you get into this creative, like, aspirational phase and you're doing all these amazing things, but how do you teach it to people? How do you make it into something that can be monetized? How do you become the definition of an authority within your field? Well, you have to build it. You have to build that out. You have to build it before they come, right? Before they ask. And Aitina's going to be talking about that. I know her as Sis, or AKA AI, the Anomaly, which is her alternate ego.
Right. A little lady from the east side.
Hey. So let's jump right into it. First and foremost, tell us about yourself a little bit, Aitina, a little bit about your journey, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of how to take that creativity into curriculum, because I think your story has everything to do with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I'm this little lady from the east side, but growing up, I had a very interesting and a very interesting situation in that my mom, my biological mom, had some voids in her life that she filled with substance, and she abused that substance to the point that she passed away due to it. And me, my sister, and my brother were in foster care, and we were going through that trauma of not having our mom in our life. And so my my foster mother at the time, she took all three of us in and really worked hard to try to find ways to encourage us, to keep us involved in the arts, to keep us involved in programs, activities, different organizations. We did ballet, we did all types of stuff. So she did a good job of keeping us engaged. We needed it. And so going through that process was great for me. We went to counseling too, and that's where I learned how to write based off of my feelings. The counselor gave me a pen and a paper and said, write down how you feel. And so I drew stories, or I drew pictures, stories, and then it developed into other things. And I just, growing up, I really pushed towards the arts, or was drawn to the arts, drawn to music, writing, being on stage. And it just really overtook me. And that became this language that I feel like I've been able to really flow fluently in this language of the arts. And I'm here now. I got all these things. I got all these things due to the seeds that were planted as a young person. That's dope.
That's dope. The question I guess a lot of people will have is like, well, why, like, first of all, why is it important as creatives to have another stream of income outside of just like building your bread and butter off of what you do? Because again, yes, we both use cameras, we both film, do photography, do all that sort of stuff. But why is building a curriculum important, and how does that empower you, or does it empower you as a creative?
Yes, it empowers me as a creative. I feel like being able to teach the very spaces and the very things that I love to do, being able to teach those, it really gives me energy. And so it never gets old. And I feel like it's valuable and it's important to find something that gives you a flicker of flame within you every time, every day. Like, it's exciting. Like, what else can I do? What else can I teach? So I love it. I definitely love it. Being able to take every aspect of what I do and be able to teach it. So it's inspiring.
So let's talk a little bit about your journey. So how did you even start now? So you were doing the arts, you're figuring out a few things there, but then how did you get from now, maybe starting out with the arts, dabbling in it, and becoming an artist, and then going into that sort of curation and curriculum phase?
I see. Yeah. Like, as a teenager, going through the programs I went through, like, shout out to Yo Buffalo, Yo is Youth Opportunity, shout out to the JFK Center, the Matrix program, Teen Center, all these different spaces that planted these seeds. So I was working with video productions at a young age. I had my own video show where I showed music videos and then talked about a topic and then interviewed people within the city. And doing this stuff was just fun. Like, oh man, this is so fun. I didn't really understand the skills that I was learning at that time. It's just something I just knew how to do. And it was just natural. It just seemed natural to me. Somebody taught it to me, and then I just flew from there. And so I always kept this like video productions, and then I learned about photography, and I just kept these things kind of in the bag. Like, man, I love to do this. I'm just going to keep doing it. I didn't discover that it was something that could be teachable until I started getting into jobs where I was working with youth. So I think for the most part, every job that I've had was dealing with working with young people. And like Boys and Girls Club, there's a program called the Nurture Program through an organization called CAO here in Buffalo, and a lot of other programs, Gateway Longview. And all of these programs, my position was to create programming that would help students have better outcomes, or to give them alternatives to negative behaviors. So my challenge was always, okay, these kids are just like me, because I was just a wild little, I was bad. So what would get me interested in something? And so I thought about when I was in the programs, what got me interested? really thinking about being that child. You know what I mean? I think it's magical, or it's like this little kind of superpower. I think you can call it a superpower, where I don't forget that feeling that I felt as a kid and learning something new. For some reason, like I don't forget how that feels. So I use that ability in when I create these programs, lessons, activities, and I infuse that in those activities. And I really tap into young people. I talk to them. I pay attention to what they have to say. I want to know what they want to do. And so I took how I felt when I learned something new. I took that feeling and I thought about, well, what do these kids need? You know, if these kids if people are saying that they have negative behaviors, or they, you know, whatever it is, what is it that's pushing them to make these types of choices? And I just think about myself. What was making me, you know, decide to do things that might be destructive? I was dealing with something inside. Something had me bound, and the only way to make me feel good was to act out, until I learned about acting out in theater, or acting out with drawing, or acting out in other ways through video production. So it was the arts. So I tried to find ways for youth to act out in a positive way, put that energy into something else, you know, so.
That's good. No. So once you started to get into a lot of these organizations and working with youth and starting to kind of figure out the riddle or the mystery of youth, right? Of connecting with youth. What were some of the things that you noticed about, because it's one thing to connect with the youth and have a vocabulary to connect with the youth and programming to connect with the youth. How were you able to communicate your ideas now to the movers and shakers, the people that actually had the funding, the people that actually were going to give you the okay to run with these programs?
Right. So being that I had the experiences that I've had, so working with non-for-profit organizations in different capacities. So there's times where, like I said, I work with Boys and Girls Club. At first, I was a student of Boys and Girls Club, right? So I had that experience or that perspective. I remembered what it was like to be a kid in a program like that. Then I became a youth development professional, where I worked with a group of kids in a classroom, and we worked on a curriculum that was already built, and I just followed step by step. And then taking it to like an assistance position, where I now have the control to change curriculum, you know, and add things to a curriculum, or add programming to a curriculum, and have partners come in and connect with different people outside of the program, and have people come in and teach other things than what we have in that particular building. In different positions, I was able to learn new languages, the languages of how to speak to funders, what funders, what people would want to fund programs, talking about budgets, how to write grants, what grants to go after, how to really infuse as much education as you can, and also fun, into a curriculum or into a grant, to make it as beefy as possible, but yet enough to really take that money and use it to the best of your ability. You know what I'm saying? So being able to, so all of that I say to say that having those experiences allowed me to now be able to move and shake the way that I do. And so I know that what funders are looking for. I know how to put together a grant in order to really touch on the things that they're asking for, or to create something that's outside of the box, but can be very, that could be very beneficial for not only the students, but the educators that are part of it, and also those who are funding the program itself. So I think at the end of the day, it's experience. Like going through these positions on this journey. I think I was talking to you about it before. Like I never knocked the journey. Like being on, you can call it the bottom, right? Being that, just a YDP of an organization and you have all these people that are above you. I never really looked at it like that. I remember looking at situations like, man, this is dope, but this would be so much doper if we were to do this, this, and that. And then taking that idea and going to the person that's in that position, like, hey, you think we can like bring in other partners to come in? Like, what if we had a martial arts person come in, like, and they did martial arts, and we can take martial arts and then come and get a dancer to come in and like use the martial arts moves and use dance to try to create something, that could be either educational, put on a show, or students would just learn,
Can I ask you this? So for those that are watching and that want to know, okay, well, where do I start? I'm an artist. I may have multiple disciplines. I may have one discipline. Where do you start crafting or start shaping a curriculum? What do you do first? What questions do you ask yourself?
Well, for me, I start with my passion. My passion is, the arts, period. Like, let's take, for example, my photography. I love photography. What is it that I love about photography? I love telling stories through the lens. I love using the camera as a weapon of mass creativity. And I also have a passion for teaching youth. Okay, so we take photography, we take my passion for teaching youth. Okay, now let's work backwards. What types of end results are possible for a group of students? For me, I'd say creating a book of photography. That would be the end result. Okay, so working backwards, how do we get to creating a book? So we have to have lessons. What are some lessons I want to teach them? Let's say there's a group of students that they know nothing about photography. So I need to teach them the basics. Okay, what kind of basic photography programs or what kind of basic photography skills can I teach? Well, I could teach them the elements of photography. Okay, if we break down the elements of photography, let's say there's a lot of different elements, but let's say I just take 5. I'll take 5 elements of photography. Each day that I work with the students, I can focus on one element of photography. All right, so boom, that's 5 days. That's 5 workshops already. Within those workshops, because of who I am, I not only want to teach them this skill or this element, I want to help them understand how it's connected to them. And then I want to help them understand how to build perspective. I want them to feel the lesson. So how do I make them feel the lesson? I find ways. Okay, so one element is what? Light. So light is all about like how much light is coming into the camera. Without light, it's hard to see, but with just a little bit of light in a dark space, we can come up with something interesting. Cool. Well, how does light connect with humanistic ability? Like, what is light? Light can be understanding. So I'll talk to them about, remember when you didn't understand what 2 + 2 equal? And then the teacher helped you understand that. You were in a dark space with understanding math. And then the teacher, that resource, was able to give you something that you didn't know. They turned on the light.
I like that.
You know what I mean? So in the classroom, on a piece of paper, I'm trying to map out connections because I don't want students to leave from me saying, oh man, I really learned about the elements of photography. Not just that. I want them to say, man, like photography is like my life. The camera is like my body. When I talk to them about the body of a camera, the lens is like the eyes, is what you see. The viewfinder is what you are putting into your view. It's what you're setting up. It's what you see. The frame and composition. What you want to have in your space is your choices. Your ultimate choice is pushing the button. That's you're done. I see what I want. I'm going after it.
Listen, you are preaching right now. I'm about to steal half of that stuff right now. Digital storytelling workshop.
Time out. See, I'm talking too much. See, I need to break this down into some kind of program. But see, see, that's the other thing. So I'm just talking right now, right?
Yeah.
But there are specific things you want to do when you're creating curriculum or creating lesson plans. You want to think about audience. How old are your students? You want to think about how many students do you have? Do you have enough resources and tools to deal with that group of students? You want to think about who's in the room with you. Okay. And you want to think about like budget, like, do we have enough money to get to the end result of building a book? So there's like specific things you have to go about. I've done this so many times. It's just, I need to create videos on this is how you build a lesson plan.
This is why we're doing. This is why we're doing what we're doing. So no, that there's so much there. There's so many layers to that. But I think one of the things, the takeaways that I love, and I think I'm going to use that moving forward, is really adding the extra step of value where you're making the connector points and creating a holistic experience, learning experience. Right. It's not just a functional skill. It's like, no, this is like life. You know what I mean? Yep. This is the education of life. Yes. And I really, really love that. Can you tell me a little bit about, and you don't have to go into specific details, but I know in us talking previously, you were talking about how, like, when you go into to kind of pitch your idea, how you like just slam dunk it and like 100% out of 100%, you're like locked in and you get like that new contract. How does that work? How do you prepare for that? What are some of the tools that you use to just really close the deal when you have an opportunity to present your new workshop or your new curriculum for a workshop or for an organization?
Oh man, over time, like I said earlier, experience. That is what gives me the confidence of knowing, like, I've been in positions in which I understand what funders are looking for, what schools are looking for, what teachers are looking for. I understand it. So when I go in to sit down, that's probably on my end. My kids are running upstairs. And that's their feet. So, so when I go to sit down with a funder, or when I go to sit down with a principal or a CBO, which is community-based organization, what I want to do is, in this city, most people know me and they know what I'm about. They know my heart. They know that what I do, I'm good at what I do. This is like my blood, like it just flows. I love it. I do it, and I do it to the best of my ability. I teach, and I'm good at it, and students walk away understanding not only about the specific thing, but about themselves. So that's nothing I need to lay into. What I try to do is show them the product. This is what I've done with these schools over this much time. Almost all of the schools I've worked with, or I'm working with, I've worked with over multiple years because of the product. At the end result, it works. Mm-hmm. The books that are created, or the short films that are created, or, the poetry that's created, whatever it is, that end result is what's going to sell. So that's why I said work backwards. What is it that you can create that students can walk away with? Every student should be able to walk away with something tangible, in my opinion. And so that tangible thing becomes that marketing piece that I use, but also it becomes the piece that the funders can use, or the piece that the organization can use to showcase to their funders, this is what we did with the money. You know what I'm saying? So when I go and sit down, I'm like, this is the curriculum. This is what we'll work with. And just like I said earlier, it's not just about learning a skill like photography or what have you. It's also life skills, like understanding perspective. Just to make sure I close in on your question, I'm showing them the product, that person. I'm showing them the product, and that product is proven And because most of the products are like the same schools for years, they know that it's working. So most of the time I sit in there, they see that product, they're like, yeah, we want this for our school.
So can you show us some of those products if you don't mind? Or you need it? Don't worry, I know you got a drink because you've been talking.
Man, I've been talking. All right, so
I'm gonna put you in full screen so you can see it, but perfect, so you can show it.
yeah. So this particular school, Waterfront Elementary School, this is a book that I designed. So that's the thing. I'm taking all of me and finding ways to incorporate everything that I do into the lesson or into that particular program. I'm a graphic designer, so I design these books, but I use the students' photography. So we do, the bios and everything. Every student writes their own bio with their names. This is like major for them. They're like looking through the book, finding their face, and then their moms, dads, family members are able to read this. And then we have the student work. I put quotes from the students in here, and then this is their work. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but this is their work. And then on the bottom of the pages, I make sure I write down, like, students were taught the parts of the camera and the basic elements of photography. And then throughout the book, I'm just saying how they work collaboratively, capturing various images that incorporated the elements that they learned. And, these are student photos. Yeah, these are really good. But it took a process to get them there. But that process, really, like I said, I try to use real life circumstances for them to understand how to take images like this. So we'll talk about perspective. Mm-hmm. Like there's one situation in which I gave the kid slinkies, and I said, what is this used for? Like, oh, you could play with it. You could put it on the steps and it slinks down. I said, yeah, that's cool. Now let's pretend that you are the slinky. And then I get all the faces like, I'm the slinky. I don't know what it is about this generation, but the imagination is on real low for students. By the time they're done with me, though, their minds are open. And I'm like, yeah, imagine that you're the slinky. Imagine that you were sitting on top of the dresser and nobody used you. How would you feel? Like, I would feel useless. Yeah, like, let's think about slinkies in their perspective. When we talk about things like that, then you move your camera differently, because now you have a different mindset. And so then you get a photo like this of a slinky, inside the slinky rather than having it sit way over on the side. And you get shots like this where the kid is wearing a slinky. You know what I mean? It's just, then you get things like this. Yeah, so I'm trying to really push their minds. I always say the two words is think beyond. Think beyond. If I'm telling you to take a portrait of your friend, I want you to think beyond the regular way of taking a portrait of your friend.
That's dope.
Everybody takes the camera and does this. But what happens when your friend stands on a chair and you lay on the ground and you take your camera at a worm's eye angle? How does that look? What's the difference in that, Or what if you took a picture of your friend's hand and then you use words to interpret what those hands do? Those hands are for caring. Those hands are for hugging. Those hands are hands that helped me understand math when I didn't understand this concept. So just trying to push those kids to think beyond. That's what I'm trying to do.
I love that. I love that idea of thinking beyond. And I think that it's something that is important, using your imagination and really not being afraid to make mistakes and take risks and figure things out, because that's when you actually start being really creative, and that's a part of the education process. That being said, I do want to just quickly acknowledge for those of you that are watching this live stream, wherever you are, definitely let us know where you're watching it from. If you're watching it on a replay, just type in #replay and where you're from. And if you have questions, we want you to ask those questions in the comments section. I am looking at the comment section. I am able to read them out, and Aitina's able to answer those questions for you. Anything to do with how to build curriculum as a creative, as a person that may not have a lot of experience building their own curriculum. It's all about taking creative ideas and now funneling them through the channel of a process that will allow you to create a curriculum. So if you have any sort of questions, if you have any sort of comments, we'll definitely let you know, answer it for you and put it up. Actually, we have one from Corey Silver. She said, "Think beyond now applies to everything." Brilliant. So that's awesome. That's from Corey Silver. Thank you so much, Corey. For those of you that again are watching, you don't know who I am. My name is Tristan Barracks. I'm the digital storyteller. I use photo, video, and digital platforms to tell human-centered stories. My guest, Aitina Fareed-Cooke, is a multidisciplined artist. She's an educator. She's a ridiculous poet and graphic designer and musician and performer. She writes, she produces amazing hip hop, amazing music in general. She fuses a lot of art forms together. And what she's doing is she's giving us a little bit of her secret sauce. She's putting the sauce on things, and she's like, "Yo, listen, I'm making it
might be too much sauce.
It might be too much sauce for you. You know what I mean?" She's giving us the sauce, and she's allowing us to kind of go beyond the veil and see how she runs her business. She's a business owner. She doesn't just do art just for art's sake. She is an artist and she's passionate about that, but she actually has taken her passion and turned it into profit, and not just for any reason, for good reason. Educating the next generation, inspiring people. Could you tell us a little bit about, I know that this is not exactly aligning with curriculum, necessarily designing curriculum, but it kind of parallels to it in terms of your gallery showcases and how you got into that and how you took that sort of your artistry and now you're funneling it into showcasing your work that has led to other opportunities in terms of being able to teach and show people your work and how to create work in that capacity.
Yeah, so it's kind of similar. Really quick, I realized that I kind of do this a lot whenever I'm being interviewed, because I do a lot of interviews, and a lot of times I'm assuming that people know who I am.
Yeah. I was like breaking down everything.
Right. I'm like, wait, did I even mention that I have a company called Get Focused Productions? And my company, Get Focused Productions, is three things: capture, teach, give back. Capture stories through photography and film. I teach young people and adults, professionals, companies, businesses, how to use photography and film to capture their stories. And then I give back. By every contract that I receive, a portion of that investment goes into helping other young people who are trying to get to the next level within their thing, whether they're young entrepreneurs, they're young artists. Most of them have been artists, honestly. I think I'm really drawn towards young artists. So what I mean by giving back is that I take a portion of money and I invest in them. If it's something that a particular young person needs in order to get them to the next level, that's what I'm purchasing. For example, one kid, his name is Emeka, a dope visual artist. He's like 14 or 15 by now, and he does his canvas are sneakers, and he does amazing illustrations on sneakers. So what we did was, a portion of the money that we were able to earn, we got him a airbrush kit. And now, that takes him to another level. Whereas he used to just, paint with just a paintbrush or whatever he used. Now he's able to do airbrushing. So being able to infuse the next generation with something is very important. We try to focus on a youth once a quarter, so I'm blessed to be able to do that.
I have there's another question that came in from Corey Silver. I'm just going to pop it on the screen here. She says, from a business perspective, please share a bit more about the processes, systems you have in place to move from creativity or creative to final product.
Creativity to final product.
Or creative. She said creative to final product, but what's the process that you have in place? So let's say, for instance, you have this creative idea. Do you have a form that you use? Do you put something? Do you write it out physically? And then once you write it out physically, how do you put those components in place? And then what is it that you then have as a final product to then present to prospective investors?
Yeah, so typically I create like a lesson plan or a proposal, and you're breaking down certain things into different aspects. So, you know, you have your learning standards, your learning objectives. You want to have a pre and post. I think pre and post assessments are very important. What do the students know first, and then by the time you're done, this is what they should know. But you need to already know what it is that you want to give them before that, you know, that time. But just coming up with some sort of plan or some sort of organized idea, organized thought. I'm looking around because there's this toolkit that I use. I'm so sorry to step out the screen. I'm going to grab this toolkit.
That's no problem. That's no problem. No, it's no problem. So for those of you that are watching right now, I'm actually interviewing my homegirl, Aitina, and Aitina is actually going to be pardon? Oh, AI. I'm so used to calling her AI or sis, but AI is actually a multidisciplined artist. She is working to really inspire and engender change within youth and within young adults. And she's actually showing us how to take our creativity to the next level and turn it into curriculum. So right now she actually has some things she's putting together that she's going to show us. I'm really excited because I wasn't sure she was going to show us this, but she's going to kind of take us even deeper, and hopefully what we can do is get you connected with her, and maybe she can provide you some very basic sort of consulting services, so she can help you sort of facilitate the curriculums that you want to design as well, because she's an expert in this. This is something that she put her 10,000 hours in, and I'm really excited to share that with you. You back on now? Go ahead.
Yeah. So I went to college for exactly what we're talking about. I have a degree. I have three degrees. Oh my God. I have an associate's in human resources or what have you, and then a bachelor's in English, a focus in English, creative writing, and then my master's in science and education with a focus of educational technology. And in a lot of the classes that in my master's class, we learned a lot about creative problem solving, which really helps me when I'm trying to go throughout the process of creating a product or creating a program or proposal. And one of the things that we were given was this toolkit. It's through Foresight. It's innovation tools for thinking teams. And these are the cards that you go through in order to get you to that end result. And so I've used this so much that it's infused in my mind whenever I'm creating something new, creating a program or an activity for youth, whatever it is, like this is already embedded in my mind. So I already think from there. But just going through, like, this is the storyboard. So a lot of times I use this when I'm creating videos or visuals, the storyboard, but you can also Oh, my bad. You can also use storyboarding for programs and storyboarding for building a business idea. You just storyboard it out, one phase to the next phase to the next phase. Preparation, where you're going, where are you now, intermediate turning points, potential blocks, data questions. You want to create questions. Who's involved in the project? Who's the decision maker? How do you own the situation? So if we just take that one line, owning the situation, how do you own the classroom management? How are you going to manage that classroom? How do you make it your canvas? How do you take students from not knowing something to knowing something? What are those factors in between? Owning situations, not only in that regard, but also when you step into a room or step into a business opportunity, how do you own the situation? How do you get people from understanding this to getting them to the end result? Yeah. Phrase challenges is questions. So if you ever have challenges, so a lot of times in the beginning when I was working with youth, I'm not going to go through all of it.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I just there's a quick question from Corey again. She says, AI, can we order this online? What a great visual, tangible resource.
This is a great resource. You can go to foursightonline.com.
Okay,
FOUR sightonline.com. This is something that I got through my class when I was over at Buff State.
Okay. Buffalo State.
Yeah. Woo, woo, alumni.
They got a great pizza spot just across the street, by the way. Anyways,
Buff State.
Yeah.
On the west side.
Yeah. But okay, so that's good. So we have about 45 minutes left, or sorry, 15 minutes left. I wanna be able to open it up for some questions. But before we do that, so ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody that's out there, creative beings, if you have questions, please feel free to hit me up or hit us up in the comment section. We want to answer those questions for you. We want to go deeper, and I may even just add this. If you do want to get in touch with AI, we have information. We're going to go through ways that you can get in touch with her. She does provide consulting services, or even if you just need a little guiding hand to go in the right direction, she's definitely a person, a resource that I think would be phenomenal for you to invest in and to spend the time learning from. But if you do have specific questions, please let me know. Please let us know, because we want to answer some of those questions. But also AI. So what are you doing now? How are you prepping now? Because everybody's pivoting, everybody's using this word. Like our first guest earlier this morning, Jam was saying, like, everybody's pivoting. It's like overused now. But how have you prepared yourself to kind of go digital with your curriculum? How is that changing for you?
Yo, so I'm like a face-to-face, in the classroom, hands-on type of teacher. And so this has been very interesting in that now, I have a digital class where I'm working with students. Some of my contracts were able to turn over into the digital space, which I thank God for. But it's been interesting. But throughout this process, like, I'm learning a lot about that digital space. Just different tools, different softwares to use, different things to make things look great when you're teaching and educating online. Actually, what I was able to do was I was able to take what I love to do, which is writing. I did a live poem. I wrote a poem live, and I went through the creative process of writing a poem live. And then I went out and captured footage based on that poem, and I did that live. And then I took all of that and I created a video, and I edited that video all live. So people were watching me go through the process of editing it, the process of me listening to sound effects to add to the video. And then I created a graphic design to market that particular video, and showed people how to use certain text and font, and talked about balance and proximity and space, color, and things like that. So I think that I'm going to keep doing that. Like, I never had the time to do that. And I think that, at least from the audience perspective, they were very interested in seeing or having insight into the process of that type of creation. So definitely that. But I like I said, I have a class where I teach creative writing, and that's been a whole lot of fun. Just finding ways to get students engaged and not just sit there and watch you, but actually, like, go run to your kitchen and find 3 things that you feel like you can't live without, and bring them back. And then they bring them back. And then those different items become part of a story that we build together as a collective. So I've been doing classes like that, and it's been a whole lot of fun. So.
No, that's what's up. That's what's up. One of the things that that I really, really appreciate about you is that, yes, you're a multidisciplined artist, but I think a lot of people don't necessarily mix their artistry together. And you have this new showcase that you're about to share with people, or maybe you're doing it digitally. I think you're about to do a showcase where you were taking pictures of young people, and then you like overdubbed it with like graphic design and graphics. Like, can you talk a little bit about that? Yeah, and if you have any pictures, okay, I got to.
I hope it's not too shiny. Yeah, listen, I'm so excited I was able to do this. Like, it was an idea of mine to mix the photography and the drawing aspect and also poetry. And so right now I'm calling it poetic artography. We'll see how that rolls.
That's definitely
But
a mouthful.
yeah, it's a whole lot to say, right? So what I do is I take my photos and I make them black and white, and then I just go over it. I draw in different spaces. I like geometric shapes, so there's these geometric shapes, a little touch of color, and then, like, for example, this particular image, the poem says, "I see beauty when I look into your eyes. Beauty is you, and it never fails. See what I see." So I got a few of them, but every piece has like these
That's
very encouraging, impactful statements. Like this one says, "Who told you that you were not enough? They lied to you. See, I can't even read my own handwriting. Who lied to you? See what I see in your existence is supreme." So just encouraging, impactful statements that I feel gonna, be moving to someone. So those pieces there's larger pieces at a gallery. Before this whole thing happened, we had a big gallery. It's called Women's Worth, and I think I had about 4 pieces, and they were like big, images that were in that exhibit. So it's cool.
That's dope. Well, listen, I really do appreciate your time. Where can people get a hold of you and follow you?
So yeah, you can follow. So as far as my company is concerned, Get Focused Productions, I know that you have the logo up there somewhere. And I put in the chat, I put my email address in there if you want to email me.
Yeah.
You can definitely find me there. Get Focused Productions, we're on Instagram and Facebook. As far as music is concerned, AI the Anomaly, that's Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And you can definitely find me on those spaces. I'll put that name in here as well. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, those things, mostly Instagram, that's my place to be.
That's dope. And listen, for those of you that are watching, we just had a session about how to take your creativity and turn it into a curriculum. Obviously, an hour is not even near enough time, but it was really just an overview. What I guess this is my last question in terms of this topic. AI, can you talk to the people that are like feeling overwhelmed or feeling like there's a lot to tackle? What would you like to say to them about this process and where to start and how to start?
First and foremost, you got to start. And starting doesn't always mean everything is working. Starting means that could be the bottom. Like when I look back, like the other day, I had this epiphany, like, oh, shoot, I had to go through so much stuff to get to where I am now. Back when I was the student, I was, if you will, I was building a business as a student. How? Because I was understanding how to be a follower, who to follow, how to follow, what way and what order. And then from there, I had friends that are not my friends now. So I dealt with loss. I dealt with things not working out. That stuff right there, that's helping me build a business because I'm going through these experiences. I failed. I hit rock bottom. I failed, got up, tried again, didn't do good. I remember learning how, trying to figure out what was I going to focus on as far as photography. I tried weddings. I tried baby showers. I tried this. Like, I'm going to try this. And then coming to the point where, like, no, I actually want to do this. Like, every step you take is part of building the business. Don't look at the position as a downset or something that's like, oh man, I'm just here. That's part of the business. Everything is part of it, everywhere you go, everything you do. Like I tell my students, the classroom is your training ground. The friends you have, the enemies you have, how you deal with those enemies, how you deal with the teachers that you cannot stand. This is your training ground. You still got to do the work. The work is still going to be there. How are you going to manage yourself to get through those times where it's overwhelming, to get to the goal? What is the goal? You want to finish. You want to get out of there. Make it happen. And then take all that stuff and let it translate over into the real life experiences, you know? But I'd say you got to start wherever you are.
That's
Just
good.
Start and then have a plan. And as you're working out your plan and going through your journey, live your journey, live it out, learn, grow. Don't be mad about certain stuff. Just make moves and don't make excuses.
Make moves, don't make excuses. You know what that means. Listen, you are always a pleasure and always welcome back on here. I think the next time we do this live stream, I might have to bring Josh on too and just be like, yo, let's just make sure you guys don't buy no Lenovo's wings and be eating it in front of me, okay?
Oh, we're gonna make sure we do that.
For those of you that don't know, Lenovo's is one of the best chicken wings spots of all time. Anyways, and their pizza's great. But I digress. I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for your knowledge. Thank you for your experience.
Thank you.
For those of you that are watching right now, please, if you are not supporting or not following AI, the Anomaly, Aitina, follow her. She has a lot of knowledge, a depth of knowledge. She is constantly giving to the culture and to the community. And I think I really want to see everybody thrive in this season. This is why we're doing it. This is why we're doing these conversations, called Creative to Creative, because it's all about unlocking all of that creativity inside of you. There are many people that are taking this opportunity to chill, to relax, to maybe get a mental break, and that's cool. And I was doing that to a certain extent, but there's also a giant opportunity to be able to make a pivot, to make a change, to really learn a new skill, to be able to get up and hustle and do some things that you've been wanting to do for a long time in your heart. So I just want to just encourage everybody to do so, to follow, to like, to share this stream with other people, with your other channels, because I think a lot of people need to hear this message. A lot of people need to get inspired and feel motivated. So thank you again, Aitina, AI, Sis, and thank you to all that are watching. Thank you. Look out for the next stream. We're going to be doing some more live streams next week and beyond. But we're going to be going more into functional skills, like how to create certain things, how to shoot, how to do live streams and set up lighting inside your house. And I'm going to show you all my tips and tricks and just like open up the treasure chest of tips.
You got to have that sound when you do it.
We got to have that sound and just like open up all the tips for you, because I want you to be successful. I want us to be successful as a community. So thank you again. Be blessed, guys. Have a great day. Peace.
Thank you for listening to the Creative to Creative podcast with Tristan Barracks. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. If you would like to be a guest, please email us at info@tristanbarracks.com. Peace.